You were critical when Donald Trump used this 212F authority under his administration. Why do you support President Biden's use of it?
Because there's a stark difference in the values that President Biden and former President Trump bring to trying to address the issue of border security and immigration. I'll remind you, Margaret, that former President Trump tried to implement a Muslim ban, a ban on entry to this country explicitly based on one religion. He also used cruelty, the forceful separation of parents from their children and the caging of children at our border to try and deter folks from coming to seek asylum or to seek refuge in our country. President Biden has time and time again asked Congress to enact a broad solution to our border security and immigration challenges. And after months of negotiation between Senators Lankford, Sinema, and Murphy, we were one day away from putting on the floor of the Senate that bipartisan solution. Former President Trump intervened to stop it because former President Trump actually wants a problem to solve through his election rather than a solution that a bipartisan group of senators stood behind. President Biden is moving ahead with forceful leadership at securing our border. President Trump is simply making a political issue of this.
And we should say you are co-chair of the Biden campaign, Senator. But we did cover that border debate and the bill in depth on this program. But on the premise itself of the authority being used, there is a lot of approval in our polling of what the president just did. But it looks, frankly, like they're just trying to get caught trying, since the administration admits the courts likely will halt this. The ACLU says they're going to sue over it. Asylum is a human right under international law. What do you think this is signaling to Biden supporters, particularly in the progressive left of your party?
I think it's signaling that President Biden is determined to address issues that are of very broad concern to the vast majority of Americans. He would prefer that it be done by legislation, as you just pointed out, legislation that could provide the resources, the judges, the processing, the immigration funding that would make for a more balanced, humane, and sustainable solution to our border crisis. I'll remind you, former President Trump tried to use gimmicks like building a border wall and is now threatening to nationalize to federalize the National Guard and use it to deport tens of millions of people already here in the United States. The difference between Trump's approach and Biden's approach is one of cruelty versus effectiveness.
So only in our polling, only about 20% believe President Biden's policies would decrease the number of migrants. Are you worried that it's just simply too late? I mean, we've been talking about process in Congress. We've been talking about this executive order for months now, and the trigger was just pulled this week. Is it too late?
No, I don't think it is, because frankly, I think the American people understand the difference between substance and showmanship. President Biden, every year in his State of the Union, has asked for bipartisan initiatives to address the border and to address immigration. And there's one party, the Republican Party, that time and time again has rejected bipartisan solutions to immigration and the border. And frankly, what I also hear as I've campaigned across our country for our president